motherfucker, you can't have my cornbread. That's for damn sure. Because if you try to take my cornbread, part 2 of my killing spree gonna begin up in here on your ass right now. If you think about my cornbread, get the taste out your mouth. That's for damn sure. Now fuck him. Fuck that. Because I'm from New York City, goddammit. Nobody take no cornbread from me. That goes for you and any other you motherfucking farmers wanna try some shit. You fuck around with me, it's gonna be consequences and repercussions.
Haters gonna hate, and ain'ters gonna ain't.
Test 1 2.
That
Test
is
1
not
2.
an actual thing people say.
What's happening? What's happening? Maestro Styles, Trey Frazier. Welcome to another episode of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Welcoming all our first-time listeners and our week-to-week, our A1 Day Ones. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Real quick, if you want to follow us on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. You can follow me at Maestro Styles. You can follow Trey at Trey Frazier on Twitter. You can follow me at Maestro Styles, Trey at Barbershop SPOR2. Make sure you like the Facebook page and subscribe to the YouTube page. And just a reminder, if y'all didn't know, the killers of Breonna Taylor are still out working. Trey Frazier, what's good?
Yo, man, and thank you for putting that message out there, man. We need to continue to put that message out every day, every hour. It doesn't matter. Breonna Taylor's killers are still out at large. We need to have them arrested. We need to have them arraigned, sentenced, guilty, locked up, throw away again. So I appreciate that. But this week was pretty good. This was a pretty good week for me, man. I got to say, I'm proud of myself today. For the first time, I actually brought a gallon of water to work with me and drunk about 75% of the gallon. And I got to work on the rest of it tonight. I'm trying to do this, drink a gallon of water a day kind of a thing. So, it worked out really good for me today. So got to say I'm proud of myself for that.
Yes, sir. Health is wealth, my brother. We got to keep on going. We got to stay alive for our babies and for the future.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's good, though?
Man, ups and downs, ebbs and flows, such as life. I'm
of course,
good, man. Just ready to.
Of course.
Ready to do what we do every Tuesday, man.
Yeah, that's right, man. And we got a lot of sports to talk about, man. Majority of them is back.
Mm-hmm.
As of last week.
Yep. Yeah, man. So, if you want to take the reins today, man.
Yeah, I do, man. And I got to start with baseball for a minute because I think you and I are really not so much disgusted per se, but we're just kind of, at least for me as a fan, just the disappointment that these baseball players, and I understand they're not in a bubble. I understand it's not like the NBA or the NHL, but these players, man, going out and, doing all kinds of things to get themselves knocked with this COVID-19, man. So, just to kind of get into it, in addition to what the Marlins did the previous week, the St. Louis Cardinals had about 9-10 guys on the staff. That's a mixture of players and coaches of the like. They tested positive for COVID-19. And as a result, and like we're seeing with the Marlins, they got to take games off. They got to take days off. And it's affecting other teams that's trying to, validate themselves for the playoffs. It's a short season and, teams that we think are going to suck actually might have a shot to get into this tournament. And you got these players.
Real quick, I'm sorry
go
to
ahead.
cut you off. I just didn't know this, and I wanted to know. Obviously, it's going to be a short season, but how many games is it going to be in? Do we know?
60.
60. Okay, all right. I wasn't sure of that.
It's a 60-game season, and I meant to update my blog. And by the way, folks, if you guys want to check out our blogs, go to barbershopsportstalkpodcast.com. I had posted one up a couple weeks ago with predictions for who I thought was going to make the playoffs in Major League Baseball. But since then, they've changed the playoff format to now 16 teams makes the tournament. So it's going to be 8 out of the American League, 8 out of the National League. And you best believe somebody who's going to suck or predicted to suck this year is going to make the playoffs based off of that. So, but yeah, Maestro, 60 games. And quite frankly, with the amount of games that the Marlins have missed, and now you're talking about the Cardinals missing games this week, you're going to have teams probably play 55, 56, 52 games and not really get to that 60-game mark. And that's really going to affect how teams make the playoffs, because now they're going by winning percentage. If you have a higher winning percentage than somebody else, despite the number of games you play compared to that team, then you get that higher seed if you got a higher winning percentage. And that's what really sucks here, is that players are, like the Cardinals, the alleged story is that the majority of those players went to a casino. And I don't want to speak for anybody that hasn't been to a casino since the shutdown and really since they started opening things back up. But in those casinos, you run into a lot of folks, man. People trying to make money, lose money, in this kind of climate where cats ain't got no job. Some cats who been gambling and losing money, still trying to get that money back, and you don't know where cats been. That's probably not the place to be at if you Major League Baseball and y'all trying to get this season in. But it's disappointing for me as a fan. It really is, because you're not really going to get to see everybody play equal games, because players are getting negligent with the situation.
Yeah, man, and not just players and sports teams, but people in general. It's just a tough time to be doing this, which is why I've said now, like I've been saying for at least a month, it's not time. It's just not time.
It's really not time. It's really not time. Hey, let me go back last week for a second, because I think we had a conversation about the potential of these players or the league doing a bubble situation or having 2 locations where these players could play. And if I remember correctly, you wasn't buying one of the variables that I made mention about in terms of why they couldn't do what the NBA was doing. And I couldn't remember what that was. Do you remember off the top of your head?
I do not.
Okay. All right. Because I kind of gave it some thought. And one of the things that came to mind is that since you got in, a few of these cities, New York, Chicago, and LA, you got 2 teams per city and you got 2 stadiums. Why not do 3 bubbles where you got all the East teams, National League, American League, play in New York, all the Central teams in Chicago, and all the West teams play in LA? You split those 2 stadiums, which means there's 10 teams, so you got 5 games. You split 5 games between those 2 stadiums. And doubleheaders work. If there's one thing I know, doubleheaders on the same field actually work. Triple headers, not so sure. If you could get like a 3rd game in after, 2 games on the same field. But if they would have found a way to make something like that work, then maybe they wouldn't be in the situation they're in now. And I guess the only caveat to that is that New York is a bit suspect right now, even though, it's not as bad as it was when this whole thing first jumped off.
And are they not doing out of conference play?
They're not doing out of conference play.
Okay.
So like I said, so the Nationals, just to give an example, all the teams in their division, and they play the AL East. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So, and that's the same thing with everybody across the league. West plays West, Central plays Central, East plays East.
Interesting.
And the other interesting thing about that, Maestro, is that when you're seeing these games being postponed because, in the case of the Marlins, they tested positive, and so they had to take a week off, it's easier for other teams to play other teams, like, in crunch time. You know what I mean? Like, so you had the Yankees play the Orioles last week, and they weren't even on our schedule that early on in the schedule. But because the Marlins messed up and they were supposed to play the Orioles and we were supposed to play the Phillies, and remember the Phillies were involved with the whole Marlins thing too, because then they started to question themselves. So instead of that happening, we played the Orioles and were able to get some games in. So I think that's kind of unique in the fact that it was a good idea that they kept the schedule with all the East teams playing each other, because now the travel is not a big issue. New York and Baltimore, that's 3 hours apart. Philly's right there in the middle. You don't have to worry about, getting on a plane to go, cross country and all that. So I think that's what's unique about it is that they were still able to play games that they would have played had, these guys not test positive. Mm-hmm. And obviously they will make adjustments to those team schedules.
Maybe, but I mean, off rip, even if we're talking about doing the bubble thing, then the whole obviously that whole quarantine thing has to happen, like, much like the NBA.
Yep.
And, again, not to say that, I mean, at this point, we're already underway. So it's like, are they willing to?
They can't go back.
I mean, or
yep.
can they? I don't know. One way or the other.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah,
but
I'm not my position remains the same. It's not time. Basketball neither, and I get, people were putting out that, they haven't had any positive testing since they've been in the bubble, and that's all fine and well. But there's too many variables that are uncontrollable at this point where, COVID can rear its ugly head. And, just because it's not last week they didn't have any positive tests don't mean they're not gonna have an outbreak within the next 2 weeks. And God forbid, I'm not wishing that on anybody. It's just
right.
It's just nothing as far as the numbers have really dramatically decreased for us to feel like, this is what we could do. Nor have we found any type of a way to help decrease it besides all these variables. Quarantine from people don't guarantee that you won't get COVID-19. Those are just ways to help prevent it. So it's like we don't have a grip on this thing yet, and here we are, trying to make money. And again, my position it's easy for me to say as I still got to go to my job every day, but basketball just seems a little not important right now. Sports, for that matter.
Right. Here's why I think it's working in the NBA, and I agree with you that just because we've gone 1 week in the NBA, full of games, doesn't mean that somewhere down the line in the playoffs that an outbreak is going to happen, because I do think that there's a possibility that can happen if players don't discipline themselves, meaning if you got to leave the bubble, go to, or Lou Williams' situation where he had to leave for a funeral and then come back, but, he's got to quarantine before he comes back. The reason why...
And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just want to make this point because it's important.
Yep.
If everybody did exactly everything they were supposed to, there's still no guarantee that an outbreak can't happen in that area.
Agree. I stand by that. There's a possibility that this thing can all fall apart. in terms of the NBA and hockey for that matter too.
Right.
Because I mean they're doing the same thing, and I get they're in Canada, so the numbers aren't as massive in Canada as they are in the U.S., but it's still possible where you have players who don't discipline themselves. But the point I was trying to make is that the reason why this is working in the NBA is because I think they planned well. I think that when they set this thing up, this bubble in Orlando, they made sure that everybody that was coming here, and I'm not just talking about players, I'm talking about coaches, media, anybody that's, calling the games on TV, on radio, that kind of a thing. Everybody, to my understanding, and I don't know if this is true, but to my understanding, everybody was tested. They got their results back, and they were allowed to enter the bubble. And the rule is that you cannot leave this thing. If you call a game, you got to stay in Orlando. You got to stay on campus. If you're on radio or you're in the media, you're a player, you can't go anywhere, even if it means you're not playing the next day. You got to stay. If you're a journalist and you're covering a couple of games, and let's say you want to take a day off, you can't leave Orlando. You gotta stay where you're put at. So I think in terms of the planning, I think they really did a great job of doing that. When we had a couple players test positive, before entering the bubble. Westbrook was one, Harden was another. I think Spencer Dinwiddie tested positive before he decided to opt out. So I think the positive tests with the players mostly happened before any entering of the bubble took place. And so I think that's why, for the first week anyway, this is successful so far. And I don't mind watching these games. I mean, when you think about it, and they got all this, these big boards around the court with fake fans and and all that stuff,
But
that really it does.
You know what that is though, right? That's not really fake fans. Those are
Yeah, I'm just kind of using a term just because I can't think of nothing else. But they're basically
people watching it from like a Zoom or something like that.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's like for instance, they I forget. I just read whose kid. Like you could see somebody's kid watching their parent play basketball from like they could see the highlight, some type of image of them. It's almost like a Zoom, a muted, or something where they can see the game, and the people, the players, as they walking past, can see who's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're taking like little clips of different Zoom conversations.
No, they're actually watching it. Like they're probably getting. I don't know if they're getting. They got to be getting like some type of.
No. I understand that they're watching it. When I say they're taking Zoom clips, I'm saying they're taking the actual people that are actually watching the games,
right?
And they're doing some kind of programming to where they could put it up sporadically on these boards that they got around these courts.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. It certainly didn't look like it, at first glance.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know. I literally just found that out today. I was, like I said, and if I could find it, I don't know if I saw it on Bleacher Report or where I saw it, but it was basically.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, it was somebody's.
Yeah, that's
the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah. To me, and I'm watching the Celtics and the Heat right now. It doesn't really look much different. I mean, the whole setup is pretty good, man. I mean, you look on the bench, they got all the seats, 6 feet apart, so players can, social distance. Media, whenever they do interviews, they're 6 feet apart. Cameramen, they're 6 feet apart. I'm not bothered by the changes that they've done to, make the game more entertaining to watch. I'm not bothered by it. It's actually pretty cool. And I would definitely love to get back to some normalcy at some point. But hey, this will do. We got basketball, we got games.
Yeah.
We got meaningful games. That is.
Yeah, I'll
and
watch it, but
I just hope and pray that. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I'll watch it, but I still don't like it. I'm not gonna say act like I'm not watching, some of the games, but I still don't like it. I just don't like it.
Is it the possibility of the COVID stuff, or is it some of the stuff that they? Okay.
Yeah, it's just the possibility of the COVID. Like it can happen.
Okay. Yeah. Agree. I'm with you, man. This thing can definitely it could crash and burn for all we know. But they had a real good first week. I really have to say that they really had a good first week, and I hope they continue to do it. And the same thing with the NHL. I can't. I think I was watching the Capitals the other day play, and I guess it's the same thing. Like they pump in all these special effects, these crowd noises, and it makes it sound like there's actual fans in the building when there really isn't fans in the building.
Yeah. So real quick, let me say what's up to the mayor in the chat room.
What up?
Let me say what's up to Deacon, the Blues man, Dale, who is also in the chat room. So I guess while we're still on the COVID-19 thing, really quick, it's important to mention that the NFL's deadline for opting out for the season is on Thursday, which is August the 6th. So I guess you're not allowed to opt out after this Thursday deadline, if I'm understanding that correctly.
Yeah, and I think it's silly. I think it's stupid that they have a deadline to opt out. Yeah. When their contracts aren't even guaranteed, and they can't opt out by a certain time, that's just ass backwards to me.
Yeah, it don't really make sense to me either. But there you go. They have a deadline to opt out. Odell Beckham Jr. says that it's not time to play yet. And I'm paraphrasing, obviously. It's not time to play yet. But in no way, shape, form, or fashion has he acknowledged that he's not going to play. As a matter of fact, to my understanding, he expects to play. He is putting himself in the position to play. He's going to be ready to play whenever this kicks off. Your thoughts on his comments, if you've seen his comments?
I saw the comments, and I do want to defend ODB for a minute here. He did an interview with the Wall Street Journal maybe a couple weeks ago and expressed that same sentiment about the owners being crazy that they're letting the players play throughout this pandemic. And so by the time he realized that the Browns were trying to put things in place so that players are protected, or as best as they can protect the players from COVID-19, the Wall Street Journal article came out with his interview. So it took some steam because of the release date. And, I just want to point that out there that it's not that Beckham, it's not that it sounds like Beckham's trying to, change his mind off the break. It's just that he mentioned that 2 weeks ago with somebody else. And by the time they released that, he realized, okay, maybe they're, putting some things together. Maybe this thing can actually work in his mind. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to defend him on that front.
He's changed his mind?
Do I feel like he's changed his mind? I don't feel like he. You mean yeah? I'm gonna shoot him bail. Like, come on.
And again, I don't. I mean, if you're asking me, I really don't care. But does it not sound crazy for you to say? And this is again, if he hasn't changed his mind, it sounds crazy for you to say it's crazy that they're trying to make us play. And then you play, but then in perspective, I'm sure a lot of us would like to stay home and not work during this pandemic, but niggas got to make their money, and niggas want to make.
They got $500,000 car notes, bro. Yeah. Like, dude's got to work. Dude's got to work. And I don't know what made him change his mind, or change his statement.
We don't know if he did, or at least I haven't heard.
Well, no, he did. That's what I'm saying. He said that the Cleveland facility has put some things in place to make the players feel more safer from COVID-19.
Okay.
So so he changed his mind based off of that. But because that article came out around that same time that he did weeks back, it made it seem like Odell was talking all crazy when it really wasn't that. So, but
and I don't. Let's be clear. If he stood by those comments, he wouldn't have been talking crazy. I agree with him. It's not time. And again, I'm gonna watch it until it until the end of the season, whatever point of the year that is. But this all of it, basketball, NHL, it all seems rushed. It all seems like we don't have the answers. And if it seems like I keep pushing this point every time we talk about COVID-19, because it's my true thought. This shouldn't be happening.
I think what you're also doing, though, and maybe this isn't your intent, but I think what you're also doing is pointing out, hey, while things are going so well with hockey and basketball and it all is great and, everybody seems to be on board, let's not lose sight that one slip up, all it takes is one player, and the whole thing can just go to shambles just like that.
But
I just think it's just bringing awareness.
But it's not even that, though, Trey. It's not just that. This could go sideways, period.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, not if no player slips up, if nothing happens, this can still happen. This outbreak can happen. Somebody can still get COVID-19.
Give me an example.
Well, I'm just saying because I don't have an example. We don't know. We don't have all of the information as to how it can be spread. We just don't have all the information. There's so many variables as to how this works and how it can work.
Okay. Based off of the information, though, and again, we're just basing it off of what the NBA has done and what media has done so that they can enter this bubble and be safe. And look, if you got to use, tons of hand sanitizer, so be it. You got to wash your hands 100 times a day, so be it. Here's what I'm thinking, and kind of the tail to your point. A player may not catch it and spread it. Let's say one of these players invites one of these Instagram honeys, into the room. That Instagram honey comes from some place outside the bubble. She might have something. She give it to that player, and that that player goes and plays, and next thing you know, bam, COVID-19 all over the court.
I'm not talking about that, though, because you're still referring to somebody slipping up in that instance. I'm referring to if everybody did everything they were asked to do per the rules of being in that bubble. I'm saying that if everybody did everything the way they were told to do, that still doesn't mean that somebody won't catch it. They're basing this off of the information they gathered, and that's all they can do. I get that. But that doesn't mean that all of the information is right. I feel like I just want more. I feel like the bubble, just a bubble, isn't enough. I feel like we need to have answers if something happens. Anything. Anything. We know because it can happen. They say it's not per se airborne. That's what I've heard somebody say. It can happen from, just somebody speaking to another person close, in close proximity of somebody else's face. But if it, I don't know. Let me be clear. I don't know.
I'm trying to, because I was trying to help you there to kind of give an example, because with the information we got, and I understand that some of it may be a little skeptical, but it sounds to me like once you're in the bubble,
you're not gonna get it,
and you don't interact with your chances of not getting it are great. I won't say that you're not going to get it. I'll just say your chances of not getting it are great.
But they're not guaranteed.
Right. It's not guaranteed. But if you come to this bubble, you test negative, you stay in the bubble, you don't leave, you don't go anywhere. You don't invite people to the bubble. If you got family with you that came in from day one, you don't let them leave the bubble. And if they leave the bubble, they got to stay away for, 14, 15 days, however the quarantine time is. I think by that science, sense what they're doing, and it also makes sense as to why it's so successful. I think the way that this can all blow up if, again, I think somebody goes out and contracts it by something or someone, and they bring it back to the bubble.
Yeah. I mean, I won't stretch the conversation much further. You're saying, what I hear you saying is that you're confident that everything will be fine if everybody does what they're supposed to do. I'm saying that
I'm confident.
You're confident, yes.
I'm confident, but I'm also I'm siding with you because, I mean, with players and with other people, and again, let's know what we're dealing with. You're dealing with about almost 500 people in this bubble, so to get 500 people on the same page, that's challenging in itself for everybody to follow protocols and things like that. So it takes one person to be disobedient and for this whole thing to just, shut down completely. But now you're saying that it doesn't necessarily have to be a player. You're just saying
have to be anybody in the bubble messing up. I'm not talking about players specifically. I'm saying that if you're in, I'm not worried if anybody in the bubble, player, staff, reporter, family member, etc. If everybody does exactly what they're supposed to do, I'm still concerned about it happening. About somebody catching it. I'm still concerned about it. And because I'm still concerned about it, I don't know that this is the time for it.
And I guess I'm saying to that point, you're still concerned despite that, because again, you're dealing with multiple personalities. You're dealing with a lot of people that have to follow the same protocol.
Right, but I hate to keep cutting you off, but you're missing my point. I'm saying that it's not for me. My concern is not solely based on what people do. If everybody,
it's what who does. It's what does.
It's what I'm not. I'm concerned about what this virus does. This virus is unpredictable. Just because you're in a bubble doesn't mean you're safe from this virus.
So you're saying this virus can travel, is what you're saying. You're saying it can travel without someone possessing it and bringing it someplace.
That's what I believe. I don't know that to be true. I don't have all the information, but I'm confident that they don't have all the information either. So I feel like until we got a better idea of what happens and how this thing works, we shouldn't be playing sports. So through air, you have a belief that this thing can just spread through air without anybody contracting it, anybody bringing it. I think it's possible.
Okay.
And I've heard people say that it's airborne. I've heard other people say it's not airborne. So we don't have, and I. So
it's conflicting information.
And I get it. And I get it's a
always
game of telephone. Right. That's always the case. Exactly. So I get that it's a game of telephone. I'm just saying, for me personally, I don't feel comfortable with people playing sports. I get it. Y'all, you've made the best precautions you could make in order for it to happen, and I'm even going to watch when I feel the urge to watch a game. I'm just saying that I don't feel comfortable with it, and if it was my choice, everybody would still be sitting at home.
Yeah, and you have players made their choice. You got players in the NFL, opting out. Players in the NBA have done the same thing, and really all across all sports. Like you just had the Mets one of the Mets best players just up and leave without telling the team that he was leaving just a few days ago. So I totally get people's concerns. Fans like yourself that care about the well-being of players, more than anything else.
I care about the well-being of shit getting back to normal. That's what I care about, and that's not to say
Right.
I don't care. My agenda is how can we be safe and go back to normalcy, and if all I keep hearing is that the way to normalcy is, social distancing, quarantining, staying in the house when you can, and this doesn't seem like a stay in the house when you can situation.
It's not essential. It's or in the views of many others, sports is not essential.
Sports is not essential.
And I agree with that statement. It's really not essential, but the money talks. Yeah, here we are. Here we are. The money talks. And again, I will admit, the NBA, what they're doing, it looks great right now. And I hope for at least the rest of their season that it stays that way. I don't want nobody catching anything. I don't want this thing to, go off the rails. If it does, then so be it. They got to do what they got to do. And the same thing with baseball. If they end up shutting the season down, then so be it. Y'all got to do what y'all got to do.
Yeah, but I don't want to I told you so moment. I want this shit to get dealt with so we can come back to normal. And if that means we got to wait 6 more months or a year more, and I get that that's, the implications that come with that or the consequences that come with that. But if that's what we need to come back to normalcy, we'll recover like we always do when in crisis. But this is being rushed. I feel. I just feel like this is being rushed. Yeah. So, in other news, short news, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is officially a part owner of the XFL. Congratulations to him. The J. Cole, is a rumor going around that J. Cole is
trying out for the Pistons.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true or not, but if he gets to work out, good for him. He don't want to rap no more, and if he can get on a team at 33, I want to say his age is, just shooting, which I doubt. But if he get a workout, get an opportunity to prove himself. I don't know how old Master P was when he got his opportunity to play in a couple of preseason games, but if he
that's funny. I was just checking out that documentary. When did that thing come on? I think it came on Sunday.
Wednesday. Oh, the No Limit joint you talking about?
The No Limit joint.
I
Yeah.
haven't even watched it. I gotta catch up because I forgot all about it.
Oh yeah. That stuff. Some good stuff, man. Some good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Got to play catch up on that. But hey, I want to get my thoughts on this Rock thing with the XFL. And look, I'm all about your money. Scared money don't make money. I'm all for that. XFL has not had a very, good history lately.
Well, probably due to the virus.
And COVID, COVID has something to do with it. At least this year has something to do with it. I'm just kind of going back in history. It failed once. They tried, and I get this was a different sport, but the AAF tried to do the same thing, and that fell apart before they even get to a playoff situation. The XFL, and people have talked bad about the XFL. I thought the XFL did a really great job before the shutdown. I really thought they did. And again, I'm just going about a history of it. That's a lot of money to be investing into the league. Shout out to The Rock for, putting his bag out there for that situation. I just hope it work out for him.
Yep, 100%. Are you familiar with the TCU situation?
I'm not. Well, so what's going on with TCU?
So in short, TCU coach Gary Patterson is in some limbo for allegedly calling a player named Dylan Jordan, calling him a nigger. Now, as the story progresses, they said that it wasn't that Dylan Jordan, some teammates came into the coach's defense and said that he didn't call Dylan Jordan a nigga. He said the word nigga. And Dylan Jordan came out and said, yeah, you know, that's what happened. He didn't call me nigga, but he did say nigga, using it in context, basically saying that Dylan Jordan uses the word nigga in meetings, and he was telling him, in some form of fashion. However, Gary Patterson was telling the story. He used the word nigger in context, telling the story, and he's in limbo for that, which he should, by the way. I for the life of me, the fact that we still these types of stories still surface where you thought that it was okay for you to say nigga, even in context, even if you weren't saying it to someone, the fact that you thought that you could say that and it'd be cool and then not be leaked, and it's just like, come on, bro. Like, it's just like, and you know what? Even if you were saying it in context, Gary Patterson should be fired.
Yeah, I'm just kind of reading through some of this stuff now. I got a headline up here where it says he apologized for repeating the racial slur. The apologizing is not enough. Not in this situation, not in this climate.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. And it's just, again, it's like, bruh, come on, man. Like, are you not aware of what's going on in the world? Are you not? And forget it. If it was if none of this was not happening in the world right now, like, come on, bro. How many times do we got to go down this road? How many examples do you need to see of where white people saying that word is just not going to work for you, and that it's not going to work for you in your favor?
No matter what the context is.
No matter what the context is, what the situation is, the only time it works is when you're doing something on TV and movies. It's the only time it works. Is you can't say the word. You just can't say the word. And it's like, my God, damn. Why do we got to keep reporting this? Why do these stories have to keep popping up? Like, how ignorant or how arrogant do you have to be for this to keep happening?
So he should lose his job, which I don't believe he will, but he should. I believe the players at some point should send a message, and whether that's you boycott a game or two, you kneel, you sit or whatever. I think the students should all, and I'm not just talking to black students, I'm talking white students as well, allies, whoever. They all need to send a message to this guy and to this university, because if this university has its mind made up about keeping this guy around, then they're just as guilty as Gary Patterson is. I would boycott. I would kneel. I would send a message if I'm every one of those students on that football team that we're not going to tolerate this.
Yeah, and there are reports of students skipping practices and players speaking out against him, saying it out of context that way. But yeah, TCU's gonna have to do something. And I understand that Gary Patterson is a successful college coach, and he's been he's won coaching awards in his time there. He's been there since like 2000, I think.
20 years.
Yeah,
I just read that.
Yeah. So, I get it. You're an accomplished coach, but it's like, dude, that means it's just like, for me, that just says to me more. You understand what this climate is. You've coached black players for at least 20 years. Have you been saying this all along, or was this an isolated incident? And it's like, if it's an isolated incident, it's like, dog, you've been here too long to be this stupid, and you should pay the price for your ignorance.
Yeah, Gary Patterson, he's got to go, man. And this goes for any university. If y'all really about this change, like, the NBA is, Major League Baseball, Roger Goodell, if he genuinely means it, if you're about this movement, then y'all just gonna have to employ some kind of cancel culture at some point. Like, these coaches getting away with this stuff for years and years, and this might not be the only incident, Maestro. He's been there 20 years.
Yeah.
Who knows if he said the word nigga at any other time during his coaching career?
Yeah, all I'm saying is, if Nick Cannon can get fired the day of or the day after for his comments, which was an opinion, that was being called, or even if it was an ignorant opinion being anti-Semitic, if he can be fired the day of or the very next day, then I don't see what's taking so long with Gary Patterson being fired. I don't see what's taking so long.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man.
He needs to be fired. He should have been fired yesterday.
I hear you. Hey, I know this is off topic. I wanted to get your quick opinion about this since you brought up Nick Cannon. So I'm on Instagram and I see a post from Kevin Hart, who posted a picture of him on the Ellen show. Mm-hmm. Now, you aware of the situation that's going on with Ellen?
In short, people have come out, old staff members have come out to speak about how other staff members, I didn't even recognize that they were speaking about Ellen mistreating staff. I thought they were talking about staff members of the show mistreating black staff members of the show. If I'm, or let me ask you, am I correct in that?
Yes, you are, because
Okay.
I interpreted the same thing, that it was Ellen mistreating people on the staff and not staff treating other staff so well.
Okay,
so
I had it that Ellen wasn't doing anything. It was the staff members of her show treating other. That's how I read it. It was so.
Got you.
I didn't know that Ellen was guilty of anything.
Okay, yeah, got you. So Kevin Hart posted this picture of him and Ellen while he was on Ellen's show on his IG, and he's basically, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he's basically sticking up for Ellen and, asking for, all the hate to stop and all the negativity towards her to just kind of end soon. And, and so Katz is getting on Kevin Hart because they're saying, hey, you sticking up for Ellen, but how come you not sticking up on social media for Nick Cannon? Mm-hmm. And, those two got a pretty good history with one another. He's been on Wild 'N Out numerous times. To my understanding, this is per Kevin Hart, Nick Cannon's been to his crib, plenty of times. And I don't know. And Kevin Hart addressed it, too. He did a video and he said, look, man, just because I didn't stick up for Nick Cannon publicly doesn't mean I didn't do it. And I think he's right about that. Mm-hmm. Could he have done it? Sure, he could have done it, but I mean, it's his choice whether he wants to stick up for him in public or not. I get that perception's reality, but Kevin Hart could do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, I mean, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I would have liked for him to publicly, say something about Nick Cannon, and but I'd also be naive to not think that him sticking up for Nick Cannon could possibly peg him as being anti-Semitic, one, and two, affect business relationships that maybe he don't want to be tampered with. So
that's true. That's true.
So I'll say this.
Protecting the bag.
Well, not even that. I'll say this. I hope that whatever. I hope that if he didn't do it publicly, I understand, but I certainly do hope that he did it privately. That's what I'll say. As far as Ellen DeGeneres, it depends on what he feels like happened, or it depends on what the actual story is. If she herself is personally being accused of mistreating black people, and he's standing up for her, saying, that's because, speaking about her experience, because he's not the only person that spoke out for her. It was another white person who spoke out for her, and I can't remember who it is right off the top of my head, but
okay.
I kind of thought that was weird, like why y'all sticking up for her and she ain't do nothing again. And that was just how I thought I read the article. If she's allegedly mistreating black people, then we need to get the facts, or the best version of the facts that we can, to see if that's what she's doing before we come out and speaking out. I'll say this. If Kevin Hart in his heart believes that she didn't do anything wrong, then he should be able to do that. But if it comes out that she did do something wrong, I would fully expect him to come out and say, look, he got to recant that.
Right.
Or this is what she did. I don't condone that. even if he is still on her side of support, and says, I want to help her and all that, okay, fine, but you do need to come back and say, hey, look, I was wrong. She did some foul shit, and I don't condone it. So it's really, at the end of the day, it's always just about communication. Once you go public, I think it's just about properly communicating, and obviously some people are going to misconstrue it, even when you think you've done your best job of clearly communicating. But I think you at least owe that as a public figure. If you come out and do something public and you're wrong about it, you owe that public explanation, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I don't have a problem with that stance. Again, I'm just kind of at the point to where if Kevin Hart wants to publicly, defend Nick Cannon or do it in privately, he has every right to do that. I don't have a problem with your point in saying that you would have liked for him to do so, just to kind of, save face.
Yeah, but
I get you. I get you. I mean, I think this thing could go, both ways. I don't think Kevin Hart is, right or wrong in the situation. I just think I thought he did what he felt was necessary to do at that time. I mean, and even dealing with Ellen, if he felt like he needed to say something on IG about Ellen, then, that's what he had to do. And it could be, to your point, business ties, sponsors, business deals. You just never know the connections these celebrities have.
The fear of being pegged as anti-Semitic.
Yep.
Like I said,
yeah.
I mean,
climate.
I've been on a little, let's say I was on a little journey of understanding what anti-Semitism is, and that, and coming out of it, I feel I'm a little more understanding of what's considered as anti-Semitic. So now that I have an understanding of what I believe it to be, I can move differently. So, it just is what it is.
Right. So the one celebrity that I see, the one white celebrity that I saw just on Twitter just now defend Ellen was Katy Perry.
Katy Perry, yep, that's who it was.
It was? Okay.
That's who I read, yep.
Okay, yeah.
So moving on, there are, with the NBA and all that starting up last week, and we saw not just the NBA but sports. A lot of people kneeling and supporting Black Lives Matter and the lifestyle that we are trying to promote as far as being equal amongst our other counterparts in the world. In the latest news, Meyers, Leonard of the Miami Heat and Jonathan Isaacs of the Orlando Magic chose to stand while the other player teammates kneeled. Meyers Leonard's statement specifically was, I understand that kneeling during the anthem is not about the flag and the military, but to me it is. Based upon real-life experience and real raw emotion that I've had in my life, that is what that means to me, said Leonard, who was wearing military-style boots back. I guess that's what he was wearing when they asked him. He added, I'm hopeful that people that don't know me can either learn or ask. I did in my heart what was right to me. Eric Spoelstra added a comment, said that Leonard had the support of the locker room. His quote goes, everybody knows where his heart is, and he's fully behind this Black Lives Matter movement, just like everybody else in our organization and in this association. I also want to add, not necessarily to Meyers Leonard, but to Jonathan Isaacs' standing. I heard a rumor that his jersey sales have gone up 400% since not kneeling for the kneeling at the national anthem.
Jonathan Isaacs'
jerseys have increased in sales since he didn't kneel for the national anthem. That's what I read. And that
the Orlando Magic, right? He plays for the Magic, right?
That's correct.
Right? Okay. Not that there's no connotation between the team and where they're bubbled at. I'm not trying to make that connection there.
What was? I mean, I think the intent of the story is that white people were buying his jerseys, or people who don't support. I ain't gonna say white people. People who don't support the Black Lives Movement bought his jersey. That was the intent of the article.
Of course.
So your thoughts on Meyers Leonard?
Yeah, I didn't know about Meyers Leonard. I knew about Jonathan Isaacs, and unfortunately, he tore his ACL in a game, a few days ago.
I did see that.
And a lot of folks on social media were kind of having fun with it, like, he didn't take a knee, so God took his knee for him. Like, y'all.
Yeah,
like, come on, y'all. Come on, the man career could be over. Like, his playing career could be over if, things don't go right. I mean, we see what happened with Alex Smith. They thought they did the first surgery, and then he ended up getting 17 additional surgeries.
Well, even though he in a quarterback competition, not for nothing.
Sure. But, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen to Jonathan Isaacs' future right now. All we just doing right now is just hoping for the best that, this guy, gets healthy, sit a year off and then, get back in the gym real soon. But these guys, and in particular Meyers Leonard, I'm just kind of tired of, the explanations, right? And we talked about the Giants, the San Francisco Giants player that stood last week, and I forget about somebody else. But, I mean, these guys just don't have to explain themselves. It's like, look, if you guys want to do it, then go ahead and do it. If you want to stand for the anthem, then go ahead and stand for the anthem. I just hate it when people justify their reasons for doing it, and the reasons are so silly that it just puts a bigger bullseye on your back than if you just said nothing at all. Just if you don't want to kneel, don't kneel. You're gonna stand.
Right.
No, you get no smoke from me.
Well,
but if you try to just,
and I'm sorry to cut you off, but you do understand that this is a hotbed subject. So,
of course.
So the idea is, or at least the initial idea is, that if you don't kneel, then you don't support black people, and if you do kneel, you do support black people. So when a person stands, much like when people kneel, a certain connotation is implicated, and when those things are implicated, they're going to ask questions. If your entire team is kneeling in support of Black Lives Matter, and you are the only one, the question has to come.
Of course.
I think the better for me.
They don't have to answer it, and not to cut you off, but
that's true.
They don't have to answer it.
That's true.
They could just be like, look, it was a decision that I made on my own. I talked to my teammates. And maybe they don't even need to go that far, because then you just create more questions. You don't want to create more questions. You just want to give a solid answer and then just kind of move on to something that's related to the sport. But they don't have to answer the question.
Yeah.
But I do get your point that in this climate, you're going to be asked about it if you're the lone wolf standing.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because again, you can't say I understand it's not about the flag of the military and then say it is about the flag of the military.
Right.
It's like, bro, it's either one or the other. You saying it's not, but then saying it is, all in two sentences. So it's just like, for me, it's just like, tell me what's real. Tell me what's real.
Right.
And you're gonna.
Hey, I want to give you the scenario.
Sure.
I'm gonna ask a question here. I want to give you the scenario. An athlete decides he's going to stand for the anthem. His other teammates, they take a knee. Let's say this guy, he comes out in the media. He says, yes, it was my decision to stand for the anthem. And then this guy goes out the next day, and let's say this guy donates $1 million to HBCUs or other African-American programs that help with the uplifting of black people in this country. Puts his mouth where his money is, puts actions in place after that. Is he getting killed in the media at the same level as he would if he just, gave a silly excuse?
I would hope not, because it's not a look. The kneeling is about awareness. That
Yes.
is the goal of kneeling. It is about awareness.
Yes.
I will say this: if you could donate $1 million, I don't understand what the big deal is about kneeling. Why not show support? Why not show awareness? Why not show awareness? I don't understand. He said Isaac's quote when asked about it, and I'm paraphrasing, was basically, kneeling and shirts and all those things don't solve the issue. And he's right. It doesn't. Those things don't solve the issue, but they do bring awareness to the issues. That's why we're doing it. We want to bring awareness, and we want to continue to bring awareness. So if you are about Black Lives Matter, if you agree with Black Lives Matter and you want to help bring awareness to that, then you kneel. And again, you don't have to. I'm just saying that it looks better as a united front.
Of course.
It just looks better. And if you agree with those terminologies, why not be a united front about it? And then come out and say in your interviews, whenever you get interviewed, that, hey, look, this is all cute and all, but kneeling and shirts and all those things don't get the job done. So I am in turn going to help by donating $1 million. I'm not saying that's what Jonathan Isaac said. I'm just saying that in that situation, if you got $1 million, if you got $20,000 to spare, then it's like, hey, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. But if you want to do that, you might as well just kneel. You might as well just do both. In my opinion, you might as well just do both. I don't see what the big deal is.
Well, I think part of it is that I think deep down in their mind, they know the reason for them to not be on a united front is silly, but maybe smart enough to know, okay, I'm not going to convey that to the public. I'm just going to, do my thing charity wise and give to the Black community and, show my actions through that point.
Yeah, and that's okay, by the way. I just, me, Maestro, I don't understand that logic. Like, it's a simple gesture. And I'm not saying that kneeling is a very, very simple gesture for a cause that you believe in. That's a very simple gesture. I don't think that's a big deal.
Agree. I agree. I just wish that athletes that do not kneel just don't give the silly explanation. Just, own up that you didn't want to join on United Front. Make the situation. Don't make yourself look any worse than you already look.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Jonathan Isaac looks crazy. I mean, he looks crazy. He just did. Meyers Leonard, though he a white man, he looks crazy. It just is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was unfortunate that happened to him, though. You don't want to wish that on nobody for certain. I don't care, what the guy did, prior to that. Yeah. Like, you just don't wish that on nobody. I hope he gets, well soon off of that. But man, I don't know how much NBA you've been watching. I know you're on the front of just it's not a good idea that these players play. I was just hoping to get into some, what we thought about, how these guys look on the court and everything like that.
Well, I can offer a few points, but I'll admit that I haven't been watching a whole bunch of basketball. Specifically, the Washington Wizards stink. That's my team, so I feel the nerd.
Now, Bill's not there, right?
Bill is not there, and somebody else missing too. But Bill is not there, and we all know that the Wizards will go as he goes. So it just kind of looks like we're out of our league playing basketball. I did watch the Lakers look like the Lakers played the Clippers last Thursday, I want to say. And I did catch that, some of that game. And let's be clear, the Lakers look like the Lakers, and they just clinched the number 1 seed today, if I'm not mistaken. They look like the number 1 seed.
In addition to that, though, and I'll kind of rephrase your statement. Everybody looks like everybody. Like it doesn't seem like teams have taken a step back. I mean, Cats is still scoring. There's still a lack of defense being played in these games. Like I was watching the Rockets and the Mavericks the Friday night, and either they tied or they broke the record for most points in a half. Yeah. Like 160 points or something crazy like that. So these teams are actually are who they are. I don't see much difference with the exception of maybe Brooklyn, and that's due to, guys opting out, guys testing positive. They really don't have all their horses, to really go, make some noise. But I'm sure in those guys' heads, they just want to get these 8 games over with and just, get a jump out of the way to leave the bubble, because that's exactly what's going to happen to the Brooklyn Nets once they get into these playoffs. They're going to get swept.
Well, I definitely want to highlight the guys who look like they're putting in the most work. Anthony Davis is putting in work. James Harden is being James Harden on his front.
Yep.
But I want to point this Bo, who I wish the Wizards would have drafted. Man,
that's the guy with this. Is that the guy with the Celtics?
No,
or am I thinking about?
You're talking about Taco Fall.
Oh, that's Taco. That's Taco. Okay, yeah.
Bo is Manute Bol's son, who played.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, but he's playing with the Nuggets, and he's blocking shots. He's handling the ball. He's shooting 3-pointers. He's him and Nikola Jokic playing off each other.
Yep, the Joker.
Man, it's gonna be something to see if they keep both of them together along with that backcourt. This is gonna be interesting, to say the least. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
And LeBron,
yeah.
And look, is LeBron your MVP this year?
No.
Okay. No. Yeah, more Anthony Davis, right?
Anthony Davis, and I've been in conversations with people about this, and I totally understand why LeBron is getting all the notoriety, and it's obviously he's LeBron James. Some people still consider him to be the best in the game. Y'all gotta take a look at Anthony Davis's stats right now.
Yeah.
They're slightly better than LeBron's stats right now, minus the assist numbers. Everything else, I mean, from block shots per game, points per game, rebounds, Anthony Davis is, doing his thing. And between a few months ago and now, there is no drop off with Anthony Davis. Yeah. That dude looks like he is locked in, ready to go when these playoffs get rolling. It's going to be fun watching these guys, do their thing. And I gotta give another shout out. T.J. Warren, of the Pacers, dropped 50 points on the 53. Yeah. On the Sixers, and I know that's a team that you're not very fond of, with the way they're constructed right now. But yeah, shout out to that dude, man. He did his thing that night.
I didn't know nothing of him. I knew he existed, but I didn't know anything of him. So for him to put up 53 the other night, much respect.
No doubt. And I guess as far as this 8th seed for the West, I understand everybody's talking about getting Zion to the playoffs. I understand that, the Grizzlies, have done their thing throughout the season up until the shutdown. We get that the Blazers have got healthy. They got Nurkic back, and, with him and Melo and Dame and CJ all playing together for the first time.
Oh, Dame playing?
I think he is.
I thought that Dame. I don't think Dame playing.
You sure about that?
I'm pretty sure we reported that Dame opted out of playing. Now you got me. I'm about to find out right now, but I was pretty sure.
Oh, snap!
I was pretty sure that Dame Lillard was not playing.
Oh, okay. I mean, you might be right, but it's crazy because I caught a glimpse of a Blazers game when I thought I saw him on the court.
Okay, well, I would love to be corrected. I'm trying to find a way to figure it out though. Damian Lillard stats maybe. I don't know. It says he's here.
He there, right?
Yeah, it says he's here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought I saw him. I thought I saw him.
Okay. Well, yeah. All right.
I thought I saw him though. Let me give a quick shout out first, man. The chat room, we got Mocha Bella repping the X Squad, and we also got Doc Bell, aka the Angry Black Man, up here in the building. Appreciate everybody in the chat. But the thing I was gonna get to in regards to that 8th seed, so everybody's talking about the Pelicans, the Blazers, the Grizzlies, and niggas is sleeping on the San Antonio Spurs. They've won 2 games since this bubble, got back up, and they're already like in striking distance of that 8th spot. The Pelicans lost a couple games. I know they won last night. The Grizzlies, dropped a couple of games. The Blazers, while they look good, they just haven't been defending enough to, pull out some victories. So you got those teams, and even the Kings is in that mix also, but they haven't won any games. And when you look at that bottom part of the West, the one team that sticks out right now in this first week of the bubble is the Spurs. It's like we slipped on the Spurs.
Look, well, I'll tell you why. For me, I'm sleep on the Spurs. Let's say they make the 8th seed.
They doing home. I mean, there's no debate.
And they're being swept.
There's no debate there.
They're being swept.
There's no debate there.
But they're being swept because there is nobody on that team that can steal them a game. There's nobody on that. So I'm sleep, and I'm definitely sleep on the Spurs. Whereas if you talk about you don't think Coach Pop can get one? I don't.
Okay.
Okay. And it's not his fault, but I don't.
Okay. I'm gonna go on a limb. I think Coach Pop can get him one.
Yeah.
If that series happens.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get him one. I just don't.
Okay.
I think they'll be swept. I think the other teams in the pool, ideally the Memphis Grizzlies or the Pelicans, got a better shot at making a more interesting series than the Blazers. Oh, I mean, I'd even give the Blazers a better chance of getting the game.
I'm high on the Grizzlies winning at least one game in a series against the Lakers. I'm high on them to do that.
And then I don't even know about that because Jaren Jackson is out for the year.
He is?
Yeah.
He just played yesterday?
Happened. Just got reported today.
Wow. What was the injury?
Let me find it for you.
Because he was balling.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy.
I just saw Jaren Jackson done for the season, suffering
that's
a meniscus,
crazy.
Suffering a meniscus tear.
A meniscus tear. That is crazy. Damn, yo.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I don't know about the Grizzlies now. Mm-hmm. I mean, they lost 2 games with Jaren Jackson in the lineup, but now that he's not there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. For some reason, and I do want the Blazers to get that 8th spot. Just kind of, with the information you're telling me now, I kind of want to get the Blazers, to get that 8th spot because I think Melo could show out in a couple of playoff games against the Lakers. They might could make some noise, but I'm not sleeping on San Antonio to get that 8th spot. And you and I agree. Once they get there, they going right out. They going right out the bubble. So
yeah,
So there's nothing to discuss there.
Yeah, and see, I'm not interested in watching sweeps. I want to, So give me somebody that actually got a shot at winning the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Mm-hmm. Have you watched any Bucks games since this restart?
No, I saw your boy Greek Freak trying to sun Harden the other on a rebound.
Yeah, that's the game I watched the other day, and I gotta tell you, man, if Eric Bledsoe and I get I guess he's trying to heal from an injury or something like that, but if they don't got Eric Bledsoe, they not making the finals in the East. Because the one thing that I noticed in particularly that game, I watched the last maybe 3 minutes of that basketball game. And there should be no explicable reason as to why Chris Middleton is bringing the ball up the floor. Mm-hmm. There's just absolutely no reason that should happen. And if that continues, and if that's a trend, and even Greek Freak to a certain point, I get he has the ability to play the point, but I just think that he's more valuable at what he does at the 4. He's more valuable there than he is, playing the 1. So if you don't got a true ball handler that can bring the ball up the court, the way Eric Bledsoe has done for this particular team, I don't see how these guys are getting out the Eastern Conference, because you can't have turnovers late in games by your bigs and blow leads and think you're going to get somewhere.
So if not them, then who?
I mean, you got to look at the Celtics. As much as I hate to say it, Tatum's balling, and so is Jaylen Brown.
And I've heard the conversations about, the Raptors and Van Fleet had a career game last night, and this is the
Raptors look good.
Good enough to go to the finals.
No. My stance still is that their ceiling is the Eastern Conference Finals. For the Raptors. Nothing about Kyle Lowry dropping 30 the other day is going to change my mind about Van Fleet did the other night is going to change my mind about that. I think this team's ceiling is still in the conference finals in the East. But you got to look at Boston, and Tatum is a guy that I think has the ability to take over a game when it needs to be taken over. Mm-hmm. When you look at the Heat, and, I really don't give the Heat really that much of a chance, but if it's one thing they do have, they got a nigga that ain't scared to get a bucket, ain't scared to, getting niggas' faces. Yeah. So,
yeah.
And you and I know, the Sixers, they just don't got the shooting. And this whole thing about putting Ben Simmons at the 4, I don't know how much longer that's going to, stand. But they can't let that ride into the playoffs if they think they're going to get somewhere.
And he's still scared to shoot.
Still scared to shoot, huh?
Ben Simmons still scared to shoot.
Oh, yeah? I thought he was taking more attempts.
Sure. But in my opinion, and I don't know all the inner workings of the Sixers team, I feel like he was moved to the 6 so he could be closer to the basket because he's scared to shoot.
Yeah, but that's not the way that team's built.
Yeah,
he's their ball carrier. Like you can't take the ball out that guy's hands. He can do so much with the basketball in his hands. He can set up Embiid. He can set up the other guys. He can get his, he can take it to the basket. He can slash. You can't.
That can shoot.
Yeah, they need a guy that can, consistently, and they just don't have that. So, your thoughts on the East as it stands right now?
Look, I tend to lean towards the Celtics. Again, I don't pretend to have watched a whole lot of basketball. From what I've seen, Tatum looking like that dude right now. It's Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
That's who's looking like that guy right now.
Yep.
The team is looking like, they will coach. They got shooting. They got bigs. They got the things that they need to put together a championship run.
I disagree about the bigs part. I don't know that they got bigs like the way Toronto's got bigs. I don't know that the Celtics have that. They might got one big, and that might be the white boy that come off the bench for them. I forgot the guy's name. I don't know if he's getting playing time. That's the thing. I haven't seen him get play time.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean that could change. That could change. I mean, Stevens might decide, hey, this guy needs to get some time, but as it stands right now, he's not getting no playing time. So, as far as I agree with you everything else about the Celtics, but as far as bigs go, and that's probably going to be their biggest downfall. Them being the Celtics, is that if they got to go up against one of those two teams to, shut them down. Well, I don't want to say shut them down, but to, hold them down enough, then that could be a problem for the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
But they got Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown is coming along too, man. Don't sleep on that cat.
Who you said?
Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown he's coming along really well, man. He's playing some good basketball too. And Kemba Walker. I don't want to leave Kemba Walker out because he's getting a little bit of playing time. They're watching his minutes. I think as the playoffs start, I think he's going to get more minutes.
So then I'm looking at as far as
and that's another guy that. Which roster are you looking at? The Celtics?
Yeah. And Enes Kanter is who you left out.
Okay. Yeah. Enes Kanter. He doesn't defend very well, though. That's the thing about him. He don't defend very well. Historically, he just like
yeah.
when he's in when he was with who was we with the Knicks when he was with us he couldn't defend.
Okay.
And certainly with Portland, he wasn't that like shutdown guy.
Well, you don't need him to be a shutdown guy. You just need him to defend a little. I mean, I get what you're saying. I would just but we know he's capable of scoring. I don't know how you feel about Robert Williams, who plays the 5 sometimes. He's not a traditional 5, but
okay.
But he does play the 5. I'm a little more confident in that. Obviously, they're not the strong suit of the team offensively, but I do believe that they have capable guys. I think this.
I think they have guys that can defend, like perimeter guys that can.
But I'm talking specifically the rim because you was rebutting my point that there were of them having the bigs. I think they have enough I think they have enough size in the Eastern Conference to get it done.
I don't know. I don't know. I still kind of disagree there.
Okay.
I mean, if we're just talking around the rim, I mean, Toronto's got 3 guys that could do that. Milwaukee's got 2 or 3 guys that could do that. With the Celtics, you're talking maybe one in a possible. I mean, I think Thies can do that. Enes Kanter, he's just off so, and I still gotta see this Robert Williams guy. Is that Maestro?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, no, I was asking Robert Williams. Was that the guy you was mentioning earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I gotta see what he can do. I haven't watched him consistently, but I think if the Celtics are gonna win the East, it's gonna be on the arms of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Mm-hmm. I don't no disagreement there.
Yeah. So, you got any thoughts about the West or just same old? It's the Lakers or nothing else, right?
The LA show. I mean, the only people that are looking like they got a shot is the Clippers.
Mm-hmm. It's those 2 teams, right?
Them 2 teams in my book. I mean, I get it. James Harden is that guy offensively. I get it. I mean, look, hell, I seen him strip Greek Freak the other day and was, I was a little shocked there to see he play. That he would even pickpocket somebody. That showed he playing a little bit of defense. But
he's become very underrated at defense lately, though.
I don't think so. I think he's just taking his opportunities. I applaud that he's trying to do better, but
effort. Yep.
I applaud that he's trying this now, but I wouldn't say he's gotten so much better. He's just putting the necessary effort in, which is good. Which is good, by the way. I wouldn't call him underrated yet, though. But all that to say is that nobody in the West makes me feel any kind of way. I mean, I would love to call the Mavericks a dark horse team. I would love to do that with the way Luka Doncic is playing, but I don't believe him. I don't believe that team. Let me say,
if there's a dark horse out there, it's got to be OKC. If it's a dark horse, it's got to be that squad.
The Mavericks are better than the Thunder.
Okay. I think we disagree.
Sure.
But if they ever meet up in the playoffs, we'll settle that score. But when it comes to somebody that can run an offense, OKC's got that. When it comes to shooters, they got that. When it comes to having a couple of guys protect the rim, they have that. So
I feel like you're saying that, and the Mavericks do all those things.
Do they defend very well though? I don't think they defend as good as OKC does.
Good as OKC, but Oklahoma doesn't score as well as the Mavericks, and they don't have a guy like Doncic who could take over.
Sure,
Doncic is legit scoring like 28, 29 points with like 10, 12 rebounds, and then coming with like 6, 7 assists.
Yeah, and don't sleep on Chris Paul, taking over a game. I mean, he can
over no games.
Chris Paul can take over a game, not in the way that Luka can. Obviously, Luka's better at scoring than he is, but Chris Paul can take over a game much differently. I wouldn't sleep on that. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I thought that the Thunder would be a lottery team. That was my prediction going into the season. Because I thought that they would start off so bad that Chris Paul would have won it out of there. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, they started so good and, they're a good team. Yeah. Like they're not breaking the team up at this point. So they going to go in the playoffs and ride with who they got to ride with. But they role players. They got some good role players, man.
They have a good team.
Gallinari's a good role player. The dude that they got from the Clippers, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that dude can shoot. Dennis Schroeder can come off the bench and he can play the point.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just don't. Mm-hmm. I think when the asses get tight, it's going to be Luka Doncic, and it's not going to be nobody else on the other side.
Okay. Hey, Luka got to prove it for me, though.
100%. But if it's anybody,
he's got the potential. I agree. He's got potential.
And I don't see any. And I don't believe Chris Paul.
I've seen Chris Paul do it.
When the last time you seen him do it?
Huh?
When the last time you seen him do it?
Probably when he was with the Clippers. I mean, he really couldn't do it with the Rockets because James Harden was the dude that was doing it.
He could if he was looked at as a guy who could do it.
Yeah, but when you got James Harden, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
He don't have James Harden on the OKC Thunder right now.
Yeah, he's not that. He's just not that guy. I don't believe he's that. And let's be clear, he's still a good point guard, a very good point guard. But but he's not that guy. He's not that guy anymore.
He won't score in bunches for you, but when I mean take over a game,
you're talking about he'll get guys open, all that. But
get guys open. And he'll take his shots. He will take those shots. In the past, I've seen this cat do that plenty of times.
But it won't be enough against. If it's a scoring fest, it won't be enough. And you know my.
What's your ceiling
for the Thunder?
Yeah, what's your ceiling?
Maybe a first round. Maybe past the first round.
Okay, so maybe. A second round exit.
Yeah, maybe. And
okay.
And look, I haven't even looked at the seed. I haven't even looked at the seeding yet. So I mean, then you got to tell me who would look like they might play.
If they played the Jazz.
See that's not an easy out for them.
It's not easy. I agree. Not easy. I would give them the edge though over the Jazz, but it's not going to be easy.
I don't know if I would. I in fact, I would say that's a pretty even matchup.
Mm-hmm. I agree there. That's a 7-game series.
And then for me, who do I trust when the ass is getting tight? Do I trust Chris Paul or do I trust Donovan Mitchell?
Have we seen Donovan Mitchell do these kinds of things? I can't recall, and I think Donovan Mitchell's has potential, and I think he's an up and coming great player. I just haven't seen the cat really have a moment like that yet.
Of course, but because he's so young, I always shoot him. I always shoot him bail when they're young and they look like dogs. When they're young, I'll shoot him that bail. This is an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agree.
Rudy Gobert is a dog in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
He even
what do you think?
better offensively since it's the season started.
Mm-hmm. What chances do you give the Thunder against somebody like Denver?
I don't know if they beat Denver either.
Mm-hmm.
I
I would give Denver the edge, but I do think that's a potential 7-game series.
Yeah, I don't know if they beat Denver either. Cause I mean, look, man, and when you're talking about coming out, I don't know if Bo's coming off the bench or starting or not, but that dude presents problems, man.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, their roster
that.
is deep anyway.
Yeah,
that
presents problems. I know everybody want to talk about Chris Paul getting a jumper over him, getting a mid-range jumper over him, and that's that's your highlight. But it's like that situation ain't going to turn out enough for Chris Paul to have a show-out game. Again, when asses get tight, who's going to be that dude when all the sets ain't working, but you need a bucket? Who's going to be that guy?
Yeah, Chris Paul has been that guy. You know what I mean?
Chris Paul has been that guy since the New Orleans Pelicans.
Chris Paul is done. He did it with the Clippers a few times too, man. That dude is a pit bull.
He works. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing about his game, but he works. Mm-hmm. He plays true point guard. So he'll look for the play within the scheme before he's, you know what I'm saying. And if like I said, when asses get tight, is he gonna be that dude that breaks out of the set just to get a good shot up?
Yeah, I think he'll be that dude because he's broke that set plenty of times. I do believe that.
I don't have a recollection of that.
That don't mean he's gonna make the shot. That don't mean he's gonna make.
We need him to make the shot, bro. Asses is tight. I'm not gonna talk about him.
No, well, I've seen guys try to take over a game or try to get that shot, and I've seen guys pass it off. I've seen guys turn it over, i.e. a Jeff Teague, and you know how I feel about that cat.
Exactly. I'm talking about guys.
I've seen guys do that and not even get a shot off. Chris Paul is going to get a shot off.
Yeah, but I ain't talking about just getting a shot off. That's not taking over a game. I'm talking about a dude that's getting buckets when asses is tight.
Sure.
That's the Chris Paul. Chris Paul ain't built.
He won't take over. He won't take over a game in that fashion. But if the game is close and you need a bucket, he can get you that bucket. He's not going to do James Harden. He's not going to be LeBron or.
But I'm talking about those guys because again, my motto, and we talk about it all the time. My motto in the NBA and particularly in the playoffs is that when there's always them situations in series and in games where asses
deep in the playoffs
get tight, and there has to be somebody that's going to say, you know what, none of this shit the coach is drawing up is working, and we need a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And that cat is either going to get the bucket or get fouled and get 2 free throws. Chris Paul doesn't come to mind in that category, and is Donovan. If you ask me,
he should.
I don't see how you feel that way. Who's better at getting to the rack, Chris Paul or Donovan Mitchell?
Who's better at getting to the rack?
Chris Paul or Donovan Mitchell?
I mean, who's better at getting to the rack?
Who's better at getting to the rack, Chris Paul or Donovan Mitchell?
I mean, to me that's a tough one because again, I haven't seen Donovan Mitchell, do that enough. That doesn't mean
get to the rack. Luka Doncic or Chris Paul?
Oh, Luka Doncic is better at getting to the rack, but he's also great at driving attention away from the perimeter. Also,
my point is that to my point. When the asses get tight, there has to be a guy who's going to either get to the rim and get a basket or get to the rim and get fouled where he's shooting 2 free throws. And Chris Paul is not the person who comes to mind in any of these situations against the Mavericks, against the Jazz, against really whoever in the Western Conference you want to name. Nobody. Chris Paul, if there's 8 teams in the playoffs, and Chris Paul if he's not number 8 of those types of players, according to teams, then he's like number 7, depending on who you feel can do that for the Spurs if the Spurs make the playoffs.
So you think the Jazz, the Nuggets, the Rockets, obviously, you and I agree the Rockets are going to be better equipped and will do it more so than the Thunder will. Who am I missing out of that group?
I mean, the Hornets.
The Hornets?
The Pelicans, I'm sorry. The Pelicans.
You like Brandon Ingram? I like Brandon.
I like Brandon Ingram. If you're talking about the Grizzlies, obviously you're talking about Ja Morant.
I like Ja Morant.
If you're talking about I mean, the list goes on. If you're talking about the Nuggets, Jamal Murray, you know Jamal Murray about that life. If you're talking about you can go all. If you're talking about the Blazers, you know who the guy is. So it's just a matter of who's that guy for the Thunder, and the only team that don't seem like they have a guy is the Spurs that's in this hunt.
Next to and you feel like the Thunder don't have that guy. I'm not. I'll buy that.
If you're calling Chris Paul your guy, he's not on the level of any of those other guys I just mentioned.
I agree there.
In that dynamic. That's what you need. You don't need a guy who's gonna work within the offense. Chris Paul is a point guard in the truest form. He's probably like one of the last true point guards left in the game. He's the dude that's going to run the set.
Yeah.
But
everything you just said there, I agree.
But in today's NBA, where it's more isolation based than anything, especially in the moments, we're not looking for a guy who's going to look to run the set. We're looking for a guy who's going to get a shot or get fouled.
That's my point. But that's my point. Chris Paul in the past, and again, we're talking experience here. And I appreciate mentioning the younger cats, the Mitchells, the Morants, and the Brandon Ingrams, and I appreciate that, and I hope that at some point in their careers they become those guys. There's just something about experience when it comes to situations like we're talking about.
But Chris Paul has been that guy for at least 3 years. If you're saying he was that way in with the Clippers, he hasn't been that way for 3 years.
Doesn't mean he can't flip that switch.
Sure, of course.
But even if you're basing it
on the regular season, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I mean to. Even if you're talking about in the regular season, we're not speaking about Chris Paul in that light. Even in the regular season,
yeah. If it comes to a situation where you need a basket, and I'm not talking about taking over a game to the point where you need 5 straight possessions where the ball's got to be in this guy's hands. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about it's a close game. You need a basket to win the game. Chris Paul is going to just be like, look, forget running a set. We need a basket. I'm that nigga. I'm going to be the nigga to take this shot.
Yeah, but you're talking about...
He's going to do that.
But you're changing the situation now. I'm talking about specifically guys who take over games when asses get tight. I'm not talking about one shot for all the marbles and the cookies. I'm talking about a guy who, when it's time to separate and asses getting tight and we need to assert our dominance as a team.
Yeah, you need 10 possessions. You need 10 possessions where the ball is in this guy's hand.
I don't believe Chris Paul
every possession. Yeah, I get what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, but you
forget
one shot. I'm talking about when ass is getting tight. I'm talking about when it's time to separate and it's time to get to that towards that home stretch that ends the game, and when it's time to deflate this team and say, look, y'all not winning tonight. I don't believe Chris Paul's that dude.
Okay, yeah, we disagree on that one,
sure.
But all right. All right.
I'm out of topics, man.
Yeah, I'm out of it too. I was hoping this could be an hour show, but we went over 40 minutes, so.
Oh man, I wish you would have told me that in our little pre-prod. I could have made this been an hour because I was looking at it like, damn, we about to be an hour. I definitely could have made that happen for you.
That hour went by real quick, though. I ain't gonna front.
No, it didn't. Well, not on this end.
Oh, okay. On this end, it felt that way, but yeah. Good show, though.
Yeah, yes, sir. Look, man, everybody in the chat room, we appreciate you for listening, and shouts out to everybody who's going to listen on demand. Thank you. We appreciate the support. Follow us on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Follow me at Maestro Styles. You can follow Trey at Trey Frazier on Twitter. You can follow me at Maestro Styles. You can follow Trey at Barbershop SPOR2. He's pretty active there. Make sure you like the Facebook page and subscribe on YouTube. For Trey Frazier, this is Maestro Styles, and this has been another episode of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. We'll see you next week.
Peace.